Venus Washington, your community advocate for our African American community. I am here with Dr. Nasia Sadar. I'm super excited. She's the medical director for infections control at UW Hospital and Clinic. Thank you so much for taking time to answer questions for for African American community. Thank you.
Thank you, Venus.
All right, so let's get right to it. First question is, how many Black participants were included in the vaccine trial?
So, it varies from trial to trial, but in general, I would say about 10% of the vaccine participants were Black or African American. And so if you think about 40,000 people or so in the overall trials, then, it's a few thousand, still fewer than they should be, but better than many other trials of vaccines that have been done in the past.
Okay. So you said it's more than, I'm sorry, just follow up. So you said it was more than compared to what other trials compared to this one? Can you like give us a better?
Yeah, I think over the years there has been a welcome change in the number of people who are participating in trials through all demographics and races. But in the past, say even for things like, influenza trials of vaccines in the past, or the measles trial or other ones that have been done, there were very few participants that were non-white. And so that really limits, what conclusions you can draw when it's such a homogeneous population.
Yeah. Yeah, really does. And so you feel like this trial, it was more participation for the Black community?
Yeah, I think for the COVID-19 trials, because it became pretty clear that the effects of COVID were being witnessed by, people that throughout, but also disproportionately by people who were Black, primarily because of, exposure to the virus. And so being able to demonstrate that the vaccine works when you're exposed is really important.
All right. So with the, were there comparisons in the trial, like, or across the trial to clarify if there are any racial or ethnic differences to any side effects?
Yeah, so I think they looked at two things. One is, does the vaccine work as well across all races and ethnicities that they included in the trial? And then the other is, are there differences in the safety profile? So the first question, I think, is a little bit easier to answer because you have a few thousand participants of each type of race and ethnic background, and you can compare them with regards to, how many people in each group got COVID after getting the vaccine. And there, they did not find that there were any major racial or ethnic differences. So that is good. From the safety standpoint, the more people you have in a trial, the easier it is going to be to detect side effects that are rare. So if you have 40,000 white people, you'll be able to detect it in there. But if you only have 2,000 Black people, there may be side effects that, aren't going to show up because the numbers are small. Mm-hmm. So I think more will be learned about that. But so far, there don't appear to be differences between races and ethnicities for the side effects either.
Oh, okay. What about like if it's effective or not? So was there?
Same thing.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about the vaccine reactions. Are there people with underlying health issues that have taken the vaccine? And if so, what kind of health issues were there, and were there any adverse reactions?
So, this is an interesting question because most of the time when clinical trials, when research is done to see whether the vaccine can be approved or not, or does it work well, is it safe, they try to have those participants in trials that generally don't have a lot of medical conditions to avoid confusing the picture. If you see a reaction from a vaccine, is it from the vaccine or is it from the medical condition? So generally trials are not going to really give us a great answer about, well, how many people with chronic conditions were there in them? But the real world experience of the vaccine does. And now that thousands, millions of people worldwide and several thousand in the US have been vaccinated with both the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, now is a good time to see how did those people fare. And in general, very, very well. The reactions they are occurring. They are by and large mild. You typically don't think it's mild when you're having muscle aches after a vaccine, but in the big scheme of things, they last for a day or two and then they improve. Very few people 1 in a million or less than that are getting the severe allergic reactions. But it doesn't seem to be related to any chronic illness they have. It just seems to be one of those things that some people are more prone to reactions than others. And when they do get them, there needs to be monitoring at the site and management of that. But it makes the press, but it is a rare reaction.
So there was a doctor who died from vaccine complications. Can you talk a little bit more about this and what caused his death?
As far as I know, of course, this is all what's in the media. So what we learned, though, is that there is this exceedingly rare reaction from the vaccine, which is that it causes you to have a very low platelet count. And platelets is a component of the blood that helps the blood to clot and to come together. And when you don't have platelets, you can bleed. And depending upon how low your platelets are, you can have a pretty profound bleed that might result in loss of life. So this is one of those, idiosyncratic, extremely rare, once in a great while instance. But these things are only things that are known once the vaccine becomes available to the public, because even though there were, 40,000 people in clinical trials, it's a reaction that is so uncommon that millions of people need to get the vaccine for us to see one of it. So no one could have anticipated it. It's very unfortunate, but as far as I know, that was the reason and how it transpired.
Thank you. That's all the questions that I have. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.